I want to tell you a story, and I feel really nervous about this. Just writing down a story, like basically, yeah, I just go. So I will read this to you. So basically, was my first daughter was born in the 2014, and I was really excited to be dad. Finally, in love with my wife, and just knew that I wanted to be the best dad who ever been around. So I wanted to be there for my wife. I wanted to be like really present dad, the new level of dad. I knew I wanted that already then. And I want my family to be proud of me, to look at me and see that I'm a man, a husband, and dad that they can rely on. Not, like only kind of shows up when he wants, but like really rely on me. And it was a time just after my daughter was born that my business had been growing a lot. It's exciting couple of years it's been, and demanded more and more of my time. And of course, I could provide for my family, like financially. I was the one working, and I was like, yeah, good, I can show up. Here you go, get some cash. And I was a very nice guy when I was there, but my schedule, stress, and my level of distraction proved that I was not really there. And it's like I couldn't stay present, really, with them. And it was this time, I felt really overwhelmed, and I had huge doubts in myself that would be enough. So, it was thoughts like, could I be the dad I wanted to be? Could I show up for my wife? Could I lead the business to success? Like these three main areas, like, could I make it? Could it work? And for me was like the biggest challenge for me, that I knew I had what it took. I knew I had what it took to really pull these things off. I knew I had the huge power and the potential inside of me. I had been, connecting to that many times, but I wasn't living it. So I'd been playing small for a really, really long time, like denying myself. And I did not know if I could let my strength out. I was really afraid that I would fail in these areas. And for me, if I fail, it would mean that I would not be worthy to be loved. And then the 15th of May 2016, I got the annual report from the business from my accountant, and it was really bad. I knew it had been bad, but then I got that report like a big smack in the face. So during that year, our sales had increased with 35%, and we'd done new investments in warehouse and staff. And these investments, together with that, we're working with food products. So some raw materials, our main raw materials, food products, had increased a lot in price the past month. And it was really too much. We couldn't handle that. And I've been trying everything up until that point. I knew my business inside out. I've been trying everything. I, read a lot of books. I have had business coaches. I went to seminars. You name it, I did it. But when I got this like black and white, I had to do one last thing. That is the last thing I did not want to do. And this would be the ultimate proof of my failure, and in the end, my unworthiness. I had to file for bankruptcy. I was so ashamed. Like the anxiety in my body was just, I didn't want to be in my body. That's how I felt. And I was really desperate for a new way. And even though I've been asking for support many times, now I knew I needed to do it in another way, because here I got it black and white. I couldn't take it. I couldn't do it in this way myself anymore. So I had nothing to lose, right? So I called this guy that a friend recommended me. So he was a business consultant. His name is Chris. And the day after I called him, I was on my way to meet him. So I remember I went there on the train, and it was an unusually, like, a really warm spring day. And I always love spring days, always look forward to this. Yeah, the spring is here. And it should really be this, like, yeah, soon the summer will be here. But I couldn't see anything of that. I couldn't see the beauty I couldn't see the colors of the flowers. I couldn't hear the singing of the birds. It was like everything was gray. My world was just gray when I went to him. And when I came to Chris' office, he gave me a cup of coffee and he started asking me questions. I sat down on his table. He stood up by the whiteboard. He asked me a bunch of questions. And this guy didn't know anything about my niche in business or particularly my business, nothing at all. And within 30 minutes, Chris had mapped out my entire business. And I thought I knew it all and I tried it all. But how come it seemed like he could show me perspectives so quickly that I had no idea about how our value flow was, what our business was based on. And he had mapped it out on this whiteboard. And during this conversation, it struck me that the value that we provided for our clients and for our employees and the whole shebang was based on one thing, and that was effort. And we put a lot of effort in. I've been working 14-hour days to make this work. And effort didn't cut it. Like we grew, we had profitable years before and we grew, but the more effort we put in, the harder we had to work. The better result got, but more work. And in the end, effort wasn't enough. And after I realized, like, this was doomed to fail. And then after another 30 minutes, Chris continued to draw out how we could rebuild this business instead of based on effort, on assets instead. And it's like what do you mean? I'm stuck, stuck in this mindset and this belief of how to run a business. And he explained to me, it was kind of like we had been planting potatoes and we had been working really hard and really smart actually in many areas and really efficient. We had like all our measurement points and all our optimization. We had been very efficient on how to grow potatoes. But to grow potatoes, we had to do a lot of work. So every year we had to like prepare potatoes, the land, we had to plant, we had to water in, like fertilize them, harvest the potatoes, clean the potatoes. Like this is a lot of work. And then next year we had to do exactly the same thing here again. Like it's been like sales more work. And then he explained like when he mentioned like rebuilt on assets, like what's that then? So the assets can be like planting apple trees instead of potatoes. And it means basically we plant the apple tree once. For sure, it's some work to get the tree like healthy and good there. You have to give it some attention in the beginning, but after a while, it starts bringing fruit, and it grows, and it gives more and more fruit. But actually, the work decreases, and it's very very little maintenance to have this apple tree. And then it's like, could this happen? Could we do this? Now I knew I had no other ways. Like, okay, if you get it, if you have a plan, if you think this can work, let's do it. So we designed how to build up assets in every area of the business. And also, of course, the business was bankrupt, so he helped me how I could buy the business back, basically. And the plan looked really solid. And from this very great day, it wasn't amazing. I've been really low for a long time, but I got some hope back. It's like maybe there's an opportunity there, maybe there's a new opportunity I can take care that will take care of this thing that will make my life okay. And actually, I thought, okay, let's do this. This asset thing looked cool, but actually, I realized I had so much mess to tidy up, and for 2 months, it was a summer month, I worked so hard to both tidy up and restructure things. Like went from 23 employees to actually 6 months after I had this meeting with Chris, like everything was changed. It's like what was happening, I was working instead of 4-hour days, I had 10-hour working weeks. And from 23 employees, I had no employees. I had partners that loved what they like to do, and consultants loved what they did, and I could do what was cool for me. And the business was profitable, not bankrupt, it was profitable. And of course, I had more time with my kids and wife than I ever could dream about. And was cool. Really, like when I worked, I did like things that I liked, that like to educate about like this health food that we did, and we also did workouts. So of these 10 hours a week, I actually worked out like 2 hours a week to with our kind of ambassadors and partners and clients. It's really cool. And and it's not like I've been there for my kids every important moment, but I would say I've been there every unimportant moment with my kids since then. And so when my second child was born, I've been there. It's like this first smile, first crawl, like these things are cool. But then to really be there. Hej! Ja, jag kommer alldeles strax. Jag ska avsluta här.
Du ska komma alldeles strax.
Jag håller på att göra en film här. Like, here they are.
Oj!
Hej!
Jag kan spela fortfarande.
Ja. Hej! Skruvar! Ja. Några, kan ni gå ut så kommer jag alldeles strax. Stänger du den? The best. And at that point, the working time was cool. And when I woke up one day to realize that I did not have to do anything, I didn't have any musts in my life. And I've been, stuck putting out fires and solving emergencies all the time. But now I woke up to like no stressors. And I felt, now I can have the space to create. It's like I always wanting to do things, but now I felt inspiration to create and make things happen. That like expanded in my chest. And basically, the following weeks I started showing up with emotional presence, with my family, with initiative, and I truly gave my vulnerability and my passion to my kids. Before, if I was vulnerable, I'd been angry, but now, if I was vulnerable, I could share that. I've been, holding up my shield so hard before because I was so afraid, because I had to fix all these things all the time. But now I could be myself, allow myself to expand. And I knew that when my girls grew older and would start being interested in guys, they would have a really high standard because of how I've showed up since then. And not from how I say I show up, but how they feel that I show up, that I'm there, that my heart is there with them. So basically, I've taken now the idea that Chris taught about assets, and I made a framework on how dadpreneurs can plant apple trees instead of potatoes, and how their business can harvest these apple trees year after year, and how they can, how dadpreneurs can, and how their families can, and how their clients can enjoy this fruit over and over again. And that is the Dadpreneur Revolution. And it's a place where dads show up presently. Thank you for joining on this journey. Thank you.